Unless you are this guy, or this woman, who more than likely measure the calorie intake of every spoonful of food they are about to consume, you are probably more just like me and most other people that just eat whatever we feel like eating. In a normal situation, most normal people do not really think twice of the value of what they have eaten, and how this affects your body, your energy levels, and sometimes, even your stress levels. During a bug out, and even beyond that, your energy levels can decide your fate. Simply put, with no fuel in your body, you may find it easy to just give up and invite those waiting vultures to have a feast. As I mentioned previously, it is estimated that humans can go up to 3 weeks, that is, 21 days, without food. However, you would not want to wait until day 21 to find out if that estimation is true or not. Once that bug-out bag goes on your back, the countdown to 21 days begins. You now start a journey where, for the first 72 hours at least, you must survive in an altered landscape. You will be exposed to an uncertain and probably high-risk environment. You will be experiencing anguish and pressure like never before. Fear may be the order of the day, not to mention that there will be other people also seeking an opportunity to survive, and probably seeing you as their instrument of survival. It will be an environment of high-level stressors which will weigh on you much more than anything else you experienced up to that point. Your ability to make it through that first 72 hours will depend entirely on you, and what you have packed inside your bug-out bag. When it comes to packing food in your bug-out bag, the temptation would be to pack as if you are going camping. You will probably push your trolley slowly down the canned food aisle of your local supermarket, and be eyeing those baked beans, fish, spaghetti, and meatballs, and possibly even tins of canned peaches, thinking to yourself, these would be great for my bug-out bag. There is nothing wrong with that. But, packing food for your bug-out bag is more than just grabbing the first tin of canned food off the shelf. You are not going camping. You are not going for a walk in the park. And you certainly are not going for a picnic. There is a reason why you have a tactical backpack or even that hiking backpack as your bug-out bag. Packing is about being tactical. Getting it right from the start will determine whether you will be able to deliver on your strategy of survival once you have bugged out. Get it wrong, and, well, you know what can happen. We know that our body needs nutrients that are found in food to function optimally. We also know that we need the energy and alertness that food provides to keep us going, especially during a time when the stress around you is looking for that one weak spot to break you. Food with good nutritional quality and high energy is important to maintain the immune system and our performance. When it comes to packing your bug-out bag, the danger is that, whilst you may have packed lots of food, if the food is totally lacking in nutritional quality, then whatever you packed could have been for nothing. So, what do you pack for that 72-hour window of immediate survivability? What foods can you pack that will keep you going and keep you alert? What will be the most suitable types of food that will give your body those key nutrients it needs during a bug-out situation? The answers to these questions can become complicated, especially when considering that the choice of food and what you eat is a personal preference, unless you are a child and forced to eat that broccoli or that purple eggplant. It also becomes complicated when considering that during a bug-out, and beyond a bug-out, that food plays a role in providing a form of psychological comfort, especially when it reminds one of home, rather than an unfamiliar, cold, and tasteless meal that stresses you out even more. In the main, the choice of what you eat is a personal preference, so there can be no one-size-fits-all answer, but there can be a common ground on how to approach what food you should be packing. This common ground is about creating a balance between the packed food weight and the nutrients that this packed food weight offers. Before I go any further, I must state that whatever I say next about what food to consider packing does not take into account whether you are a vegan, on a gluten-free mission, or whether you think that lettuce is the greatest discovery ever made. Nor do I consider your food preferences that could be based on religious beliefs or a medical condition. Importantly, I also do not consider whether you are a wannabe supermodel or God's gift to the opposite sex. My take on what foods to pack is a practical approach that is made purely for the sake of survivability and maintenance of sanity during a bug-out and beyond a bug-out. The ultimate choice on what food you pack is yours to make. Also, by now, through watching my videos, you would have realized that being a good prepper is not about growing a mullet, chewing tobacco, or walking around with an ammo belt slung over your shoulder. On the contrary, Being a good prepper means first understanding the science and technology behind prepping, and how to use this science and technology to give you a better advantage. You can always grow your mullet afterwards. So, let us start with the target in mind. There's this term called RDI, which stands for Recommended Dietary or Recommended Daily Intake. Medical nutritionists define RDI as the average daily dietary intake level that is sufficient to meet the nutrient requirements of nearly all, that is, between 97 to 98% of healthy individuals, in a particular life stage and gender group. According to these experts, the RDI is important to ensure we eat enough of certain foods to keep us healthy. In some cases, too much of one type of food can cause an imbalance in our bodies which may lead to health problems. They further recommend that daily food intake should be a varied diet of the 5 food groups, that is, fruits, vegetables, grains, protein foods, and dairy. Without going into too much detail, but focusing specifically on your calorie intake because this will be a key factor during and beyond a bug out, an ideal daily intake of calories varies depending on age, metabolism, and levels of physical activity, among other things, but generally, the consensus recommended daily calorie intake is 2,000 calories a day for women, and 2,500 for men. So, now that we have that little bit of nutritional science info, we know that the recommended 2,000 or 2,500 calories a day intake is a first target. But, for sake of prepping, and making sure that everyone gets an equal share of the pie, let me stick with 2,000 calories a day. Packing a few tins of canned food is a good first choice, not only because it is sealed and impenetrable until opened, but canned food is also a quick and easy meal that can make an important contribution to your recommended calorie intake with little effort from yourself. However, be wise in choosing your canned foods. For instance, if we have to consider 2,000 calories as the RDI, then you must appreciate that, as an example, a 100-gram serving of canned beef constitutes only 12% of your RDI. Likewise, your favorite tin of canned pilchards or canned beans are only 5% and 4% of RDI respectively. Each category of canned food will vary in what they have to offer per 100 grams of serving. Whereas one canned food product may provide more energy, that is kilojoules, but less protein, another may provide more carbohydrates, and some, like canned fish, will also provide omega fats. As much as you will likely to lean toward those that are your usual comfort foods, when choosing your canned foods you must be prepper savvy and tactical at the same time. Remember, this will be for your bug out bag, and definitely not for that romantic picnic with an orchestra playing soothing music in the background. Choose canned foods that pack a punch in terms of your RDI requirements. Being prepper savvy means also choosing those products that you can easily eat and digest whilst literally on the run. At the same time, consider the aspect of the net weight versus the drained weight of the canned food product. I did cover this in my previous video, but, for the sake of driving home the point, choosing canned foods with a reasonable liquid weight is a good tactic, since the liquid content will assist in your recommended daily fluid intake should you run out of water. Another important factor will be the size and weight of the canned food product. If you go for the conventional 400 or 410 gram canned food, and maybe you pack 3 different options of these, then remember that 3 of them will add at least 1.2 kilograms to your bag carry weight. Another good tactical food choice to pack will be instant porridge. Yes, instant porridge. For instance, a 100-gram serving of one of the famous instant porridge brands packs a whopping 73% of RDI. Go and study the instant porridge shelf in your local supermarket, you will find it there. You will obviously have to mix the instant porridge with water as you will not be carrying any milk, unless perhaps you also have a cow in your bug-out bag. Now remember when I said that you should split your 1-liter water requirement into 500 milliliters bottles. And I also suggested that you should also carry a stainless steel or titanium flask in your bag. The benefit of having instant porridge in your bag is that it is not just food. When mixed in your water bottle or flask, it becomes an all-in-one, and on-the-go food and energy drink combined. Something that can fill both your fluid and nutritional requirements in one go. Appreciating that each 100 gram of that famous brand packs a whopping 73% of RDI, I strongly suggest that you have at least 500 grams of instant porridge per bag. A good nourishment option to pack would be energy bars. But, be careful when choosing energy bars. Most of us often just grab an energy bar whilst waiting in the checkout queue simply because a good marketing genius placed it there to convince us that we are drained after pushing that full trolley around the supermarket. However, although they might look like the real deal, it is possible that not everything you see on that display will be real energy bars. Other than the real energy bars, you also get meal replacement bars for when you are on a diet or weight loss program. Then there are activity bars which are intended for sustained workout performance. And then, protein bars which are usually eaten to gain muscle mass after workouts. You also get endurance bars which have a similar function as the activity bar. And then, there are even organic bars which are made from natural products. In terms of their energy load, carbohydrate, protein, and fat content, these will all vary from around the 400 kilojoules range to some exceeding the 1000 kilojoules mark. Likewise, some will have a higher or lower protein and carbohydrate or fat content when compared to another bar. Some will taste like cardboard, and others like your mother's cooking. The real energy bars will have a higher calorie count per serving, and an overall higher percentage contribution in terms of the daily value to your RDI. Then there is dried fruit. Per 100 gram serving, dried fruit either will have high energy content, a good portion of carbohydrates and dietary fiber, and a reasonable amount of protein. Regardless of whether you get mixed dried fruit or fruit rolls, again, get the good packaged ones that can remain intact when stored in your bag. By now you were asking yourself, but why has he not mentioned MRE? Well, I am going to. Meals ready to eat or MRE are not the first choice of many people. The reasons for this are often varied, but primarily it comes down to affordability, taste, access to, or availability, and in most cases, trust and familiarity with the concept. MREs have their origins in the military, with the main purpose being able to provide soldiers engaged in combat or field conditions with a quick meal, where no other food was available, or where combat or field operations conditions did not allow for conventional meals. Dependent on which military a person served in, the MRE could have been chicken with egg noodles, or a dried biscuit with a slurp of peanut butter through a sachet. Also, dependent on how long one had to eat MREs, it also came to be known as meals refusing to exit. MREs are usually lightweight in comparison to the weight of canned food, and also take up less packing volume. However, as mentioned, factors of cost, trust and familiarity are often the reasons for not considering MREs as a first choice. Then there is also the issue of confusion between MREs, freeze-dried, and dehydrated food. Because this is a subject that requires more insight, I will cover this in a later series with inputs from actual reputable manufacturers of these products. For now, you can look at this table of comparison from one of them. Should you decide to pack a few civilian MREs in your bag, purchase them from reputable manufacturers, where the storage conditions are known, and not from some reseller website where you do not know how the seller stored the product on offer. Also, note that in most countries the reselling of government-issued military MREs are considered illegal. There is one other item that you must pack in your bag. Salt. Salt, like everything else in normal life, is easily complicated. But, no matter the variety, the name, and the hype around it, the simple truth is that salt is simply sodium chloride. Our body needs sodium for nerve and muscle function. Chloride ions serve as electrolytes for regulation of our blood pH, that is, acidity or alkalinity, and blood pressure. Too much or too little salt may have an adverse effect on the body. Although I did mention carrying rehydration powder which can provide the body with an electrolyte boost, salt also helps with the relief of muscle cramps, especially with those cramps that occur most often in the calf muscle at the back of the lower leg, or in the hamstrings at the back of the thigh, or in the quadriceps at the front. And like I said previously, during a bug out and at least during the 72 hours thereafter, you will feel like you are in a decathlon where your body and certainly your muscles will be subjected to strain and sweat. This is where you probably will discover you have muscles, and how stubborn they can sometimes be. Which salt you pack is up to your personal taste. However, the different varieties of salt contain about the same amount of sodium, that is, around 40%. Another feature of salt, if you do not know this, is that the regular table salt which most of us grew up with, also contains iodine as an additive. This was introduced as a preventive measure against goiter inflammation of the thyroid gland. The other benefit of carrying some salt in your bag is that even if you do not need it, it is a fact that salt has a proven history as a trading commodity and currency over which wars have been fought. In other words, that few milligrams of salt that you have in your bag could be worth its weight in gold to someone else. Also, salt is used in the preservation of food, like curing meat, which you may have to hunt for when things really go belly up. Without stating the obvious, whatever food product you pack in your bag will need proper monitoring and management in terms of expiry dates, the integrity of the packaging, etc. Your bug-out bag is planning for the worst-case scenario. This could be tomorrow or 2 years from now. So make sure you have at least a regular bag inventory maintenance check to confirm that whatever you packed inside is still good for when that tomorrow comes. Remember, you are not going camping. You are packing for the first 72 hours. You are packing nourishment to keep you on your toes, and for sake of your sanity so that you can have a clear and focused mind during these first 72 hours. You are also packing being mindful of the carry weight of each bag in relation to which family member will be carrying it. So get packing, and be prepper savvy.
Subscribe to the South African Prepper. Like and share my videos with your family, friends, and colleagues since we are all in this together. Here you get real information, and fact-based insights and guidance. I don't do opinion or BS. Preparedness is not a hobby. It is a way of life that could save your life.